Happy Wednesday, everybody. My name's Aaron. I'm the co-founder here at BWG Connect, just networking and knowledge sharing group, and doing this for 7.5 years now. Just this all out, desire to connect with people, learn the pain points, the problems, the strategies, things that are working that aren't. And when the same things pop up over and over again, we host an event like this. We try to do a couple hundred webinars a year. We try to push close to 100 dinners. So if you're in a tier 1 city, let us know. We'd love to meet with you in person and do some networking and knowledge sharing while we're breaking bread together. Um, as we're getting started here, we're kicking this off at 3 to 4 minutes after the hour, and we're going to try to wrap this up with at least 3 to 4 minutes to go in the hour as well. We're going to give you plenty of time to get on to your next meeting without being late. We do want it to be as educational and informational as possible. So at any point in time, if you have a question, drop it in the chat, drop it in the Q&A, or you can email me directly, Aaron, AARON at bwgconnect.com. And we'll try to get those questions answered in real time. So don't hesitate, drop as many questions in there as possible. Let's jump into a little bit around the topic. So understanding optimizing Walmart Connect ad spend. Huge push, obviously, if we start first on the Amazon side, and as people, I wouldn't say they figured it out, but they feel comfortable that there's a strategy there. And then the shift over to the retail media dollars, and obviously Walmart is the next one in line for most brands that are out there. And for the longest time, people just kind of been banging their head against the wall, wondering like why Walmart can't quite figure it out. But they've made a ton of advancements over the past few years that brands are really starting to see and they like. And now we need to just kind of understand as a group, like how do we handle Walmart Connect as a whole? And so we've got some great friends, partners, supporters of the network, come highly recommended from a ton of brands. And this is all around experts, but also more importantly, all around nice people over at Sellcord. And so today, David's here to kind of answer our questions as we go through this. So David, I'll kind of kick it over to you. If you want to do an intro on yourself, Sellcord, that'd be awesome. And then how about we jump into some of the questions that pop up? Sound good?
Sounds good. No, sounds good. Yeah, I got a little presentation ready to go. For sure. Yeah, so I'm David. I'm one of the co-founders of Sellcord. We're the largest Walmart marketplace agency. We've been able to grow really tremendously over the past few years, especially Walmart themselves has been doing a great push to expand themselves, really be another player in the game. You can see they're really trying. Very interestingly, like if you take a look, like Aaron mentioned, a few years ago, Walmart Connect didn't have features that were like so basic. They just two ideas I like to think about that like when I first started with Walmart, where they are today, is they only had the ability to advertise if your listing was ranked in the first 4 pages. Like something like if you had a new listing, it was like you didn't even rank unless you like it was such a tedious process just to get some traction going. And second to that was they didn't have second price auctions. So we had so many people that like would accidentally, put in the wrong bid. Instead of putting in $1, they put in $100, and all of a sudden they're spending $100 a click, and they're like, "What the heck is going on over here?" So definitely, definitely making just two simple updates to the platform, and like that has just been the general direction that Walmart's been going. I think there's still so much more to come. Negative targeting, for example, but there's a lot of updates that Walmart has made, and it's really exciting to see actually the growth that they're pushing, be able to succeed and be able to be another true contender in this e-com space. So let's jump into it over here.
Yeah, do you remember just after how they were the bidding where people would put in $100 and it would bid and they would blow through entire budgets in like a day, like thousands and thousands of dollars, and brands were just like irate about it.
Uh, it makes sense. I had so many people like, "Could you figure it out? Could you open a case? Could you get the money back?" It's like, sorry, dude, you put you screwed up. You did
Yeah.
wrong. You made a mistake.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're like, just copy Amazon. Like just do what they did and we'll pour money in. But
Yeah,
anyways, we can get into this
yeah,
as well.
so
Just a
good
quick
call.
reminder for more people as you've joined. This is designed to be as educational and informational as possible. So if you have questions as we go through this, drop them into the chat, drop them in the Q&A. We'll get them answered as we go. David, are we able to share this slide deck with people afterwards? Everybody, we're going to post this to YouTube as well. But can we share the slide deck with people afterwards?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay,
That will
awesome.
be that will be happening for sure. So yeah, I just have the Q&A popped up in there on the side. So nobody has any questions yet, which makes sense. We haven't really gotten into anything. Alrighty, so There's just going to be an overview of understanding optimizing Walmart Connect, the basics, and then we're going to get a little bit into some more advanced strategies. So just a little bit about Sellcord. Obviously gotta hit them with a pitch. So Walmart agency partner working with brands on both the 1P and 3P side. We do advertising, media strategy. We have our own proprietary software that we actually develop as an ad platform. For Walmart, we manage tens of millions annually in Walmart Connect spend, and we have teams based in the US, LA, Arkansas, as well as in China. So just a little bit of the brands we manage. Take a quick look. I'm sure you've heard of some of these guys. And let's jump into it. So we're going to start first with the basics of what ad campaigns and types even exist. So let's just kind of talk through that. We have also some like screenshots over here on the side just to kind of show some of these placements. I couldn't get everything into one nice picture just because it's there's a lot of different ads that can display on Walmart, which is nice. Obviously the development that ads are available in so many more placements. But let's talk about a little bit about the campaign types, where they're placed. We'll talk about platforms and placements. We'll talk about match types, just some of the simple ideas, and then we're going to get into some of the more advanced features. So just obviously the basics are sponsored product. You all know sponsored product. Sponsored product is, where you're advertising an item directly. There's obviously different placements for it. A very common one is what's called search and grid, right? So you can see over here, this would be like an example of it. If you were to see a page of your 40 items on a page, you're going to see a bunch of these item placements on the page. You'll see like the sponsored, anything that says sponsored, that's going to be sponsored product on the search and grid. So generally speaking, there's per page on Walmart, there's 40 listings, and you have an additional 10 placements for advertising. So there's the top 4 placements, the top 4. Whenever you search any keyword, there's going to be top 4 spots are going to be all ad placements, and that's called top of search. So the most aggressive or typically the highest spending campaigns are going to be the products that display at the top here. We'll discuss a little bit more about that. How do you get to number 1 versus number 2, who's paying more and all that. We'll speak about that a little bit more. Next, after sponsored product, we have 2 different types of campaigns within that. This is the only campaign type that has auto and manual. All the other ones are just manually targeting. So what is auto? Auto means you advertise the item itself. So it's not keyword related. You just create a campaign on an item level. You can obviously create a campaign with 50 items in it. You can even create a campaign with your entire catalog in it. And just go ahead and get that going. And then a manual campaign is where you target specific keywords. So let's say in this case, you're tall, you want to sell these stainless steel water bottles. So you make sure that you target the keyword stainless steel water bottle or the keyword water bottle. So you take a group of items or a single item and you advertise specific keywords. So the bidding happens on a keyword level versus on an auto campaign, the bidding happens on an item level. After that, now generally speaking, before we move on from this, sponsored product is the basics. And I don't believe that there's many brands, if any, that have mastered sponsored product on Walmart. So yes, it is recommended to definitely increase your ad spend and go more aggressively with sponsored brand, sponsored video, even diving into display a little bit. But many cases, you want to really focus on sponsored product. That's where you're going to see success. That's where you're going to drive the most success, making sure that you have a game plan just within sponsored product. Don't try to go crazy and get into all the different ad placements and really try spending across the board if you don't know what you're doing with sponsored product. That's going to be the main driver, and it has the most flexibility, and it's the most common way to get conversions. It's the lowest in the funnel. So definitely focus on sponsored product if you are, just getting started. Okay, then we're going to go to a sponsored brand. So sponsored brand,
Really quick, just a question that comes in is around, a platform. So in the Amazon side, there's a Packview, a Perpetua, an Xmars, a Sky. Are those recommended, or one of those recommended for Walmart as well?
Sure. So Walmart has a native Walmart Connect platform, which has benefits as it has its drawbacks. We actually developed our own platform, Dashna. It's called DASHNA. It's the only Walmart exclusive ad platform. It's purely just there for Walmart. We're not taking another platform like some of these other platforms. They've created their platform for Amazon, and they're like, okay, let's copy it over to Walmart. We're coming with a mindset of how do you just think Walmart? Now, I will obviously give shout outs where it's deserved. There's a number of other platforms. You mentioned a few of those over there. Packview, Sky, these guys have solid products that do exist On the Walmart side, definitely. I mean, if you're working with them on Amazon, you can take a look at it. Go for it. I just obviously, I gotta shout ourselves out over here,
Yeah,
for
but
our own platform.
ad tech, it's required of some kind if you're going to do it at scale.
Definitely, definitely, I would recommend it. I mean, look, you could. The limitations where you get to with the Walmart Connect is when you want to start doing things in bulk and a greater scale, like you're mentioning. There's also some basic things that we'll dive into, let's say like keyword harvesting and just general rules. A lot of the rules you're already missing out on that day parting, for example. Some of these things that like are considered basic strategies are not available in just the basic Walmart Connect platform. So it's going to be, there's like limits to budgets, and there's not really good budgeting within that outside of just the standard, campaign level budgets, or, so there's definitely reasons to utilize some of these other tools if you have like budget restrictions and things like that.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, for sure. Definitely recommend it. Alrighty. So after sponsored product, I would say sponsored brand is the next step in the funnel, maybe even sponsored video on similar page. The sponsored brand is where you advertise. That's this one over here, where you see you have the brand option over here, and then you have up to 4 placements. It's 2 to 4 placements, and you could have multiple products within the same category. You could do a few different miscellaneous ones. I don't really recommend doing that. I would recommend just sticking to like 4 similar products. Here I was searching up the keyword water bottle. You can add multiple items to them. I think it's 12 products as a max on the sponsored brand, and Walmart will officially optimize it and pick the best ones per keyword. Like you could even have water bottle and toothpaste in the same sponsored brand. I don't recommend doing that because it's just like you're leaving Walmart with too many options. Just break it up in your catalog. The only reason I would ever go beyond that is, let's say you only have a single product in a category, and because there's a minimum of two products, you want to make sure that, and you want to have a sponsored brand running at that point, you can put 2 similar products next to each other. But even then, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. So the thing is, for these placements, the pricing starts to go up significantly. The base bids on an auto campaign are 20 cents, on a manual campaign, 30 cents. For a sponsored brand, it's already $1. Now, obviously, the reason for that is it's the most prominent placement that happens even above top of search. It happens at the real top of the page there. And honestly, on most computers, when you're searching, you might even just see like the top half of these listings will get cut off, but you'll see the sponsored brand is bam right there, dead center, and you're really like taking over. It's not you're not competing with anyone. All 4 of them are your spots, plus you have your branded spot over there. And if you click on that link, actually, depending on the campaign, it could take you to a specific link of your choosing, obviously on Walmart. It could take you to a specific brand shop of yours. It could take you to a brand shelf, which is like a curated list of items that you believe are good. And you can do this on a keyword level. You could really go in deep on the sponsored brand, and that's why it costs more. Is because you really have so much more control into where things are going. So sponsored brand is pretty cool.
Yeah, so a question comes in, how does SEO optimization differ from Walmart and Amazon, and how does that affect your ads? Can you speak to this on a high level?
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely it's going to be covered a little bit later on in this is specifically around indexing and relevancy. This is all very very important. I'll just give a very high level, like you're saying now, is SEO is definitely a very big key to success on Walmart ads. And the idea is you want to make sure that the main keywords that you're targeting are within your copy. So obviously the first component is making sure that you have the right keywords in mind. You could make the assumption that they're the same ones coming from Amazon. It's not necessarily the case. But the easier and more popular the simpler your copy is with the keywords, the better chance you're going to have to index and then to rank on Walmart. So we'll discuss this a little bit deeper with when we discuss relevancy with keywords, but that's definitely it's definitely a factor, and you have to make sure that that's good. Also, another simple idea is that your SEO impacts what's called your Walmart listing quality score, and if your Walmart's listing quality score is below a certain threshold, it will impact your ability to run ads as a whole. So it definitely impacts, your listings quality within Walmart, because Walmart only wants to display the best listing. So if you don't meet their metrics for what's considered a good listing, you're going to have difficulty ranking on the platform. So definitely important to, just have your general listing quality score, which is impacted by SEO. Okay. Moving on from sponsored brand, we have also here shown below here at the bottom, it's sponsored video. You could have 1 to 2 products. They it's only going to be one. They moved it to 2, and this is going to be a placement below the. So just when you search a listing, you're going to see first the sponsored brand on top. Then you're going to see the top 4 placements top of search. Then you're going to see the top 4 organic placements, and then you're going to see the sponsored video. So you're already on the 4th row, so to speak. You know, now not every page is going to have sponsored brand, but most of them will have sponsored product. So that's just something else, by the way. The general strategy is take a look at your keywords, see if other people are running sponsored brand, sponsored video. If they are, take a look at the type of brand and see like, oh, you know, I'm competing here with, you know, freaking Brita. It's probably going to be a little bit difficult for you to dominate over there because they have big budgets. They're going to kill you, you know. But if you're in a space where it's maybe not as competitive and there's no other big brands there, maybe it's a brand that, you know, is a more standard brand, you know, you have the ability to compete over there. So, you know, you just take a look at that if you win at base bids versus if you're competing with Brita, you might have to spend considerably more than the base bid to win that placement, and they might just keep bidding you out. So back to sponsored video over here. The great thing about it is that it's a really good way to show off your product details more than any other placement. Video is obviously the most iconic. It leaves the best impressions, especially in today's day and age. People really love videos to be able to see what's going on and to really have a very capturing video just to show off your product. So that's definitely something to consider. Interestingly, they recently lowered the cost and the base CPC for sponsored video. It used to be $1.30. They lowered it recently to 80 cents. I'm not sure if it just wasn't so successful or they want people to have better ROAS. I don't know why, but they lowered it, which is great. You know, now you have it's a bit more affordable. It's not quite half, but it's a good 40% off. You know, so that's definitely a placement that you could try as well. Again, it's a very high cost and it's also specific. It's very specific. It's only one item. It's not taking you to a shelf. It's not taking you to your brand. It's taking you just to that item. Now, another idea over here is we say base bids 80 cents, base bids $1. You think of that might be very high compared to the base bid of auto of 20 cents and manual 30 cents. But let's say you're in a category where the auto and manual base bids are not the base bids, where the competitive bids are already at $1. You know, you have so many categories, which, you know, you already have the competition. You're never going to win a bid at 20 cents. You're never going to win a bid at 30 cents. You might not even win a bid at $1. And then you're taking a look here, like you're paying for sponsored product and it's so expensive. And then you go ahead and you search the keyword and you're like, wait, no one's paying for sponsored brand, no one's paying for sponsored video. You could actually bid over there and be winning a better placement at a cheaper price than you're paying for sponsored product, which is pretty interesting. Like you could have these hot upper funnel placements at a cheaper price than your sponsored product if other competitors are not thinking about that. So always think about that. If your average CPCs are already starting to creep up there, take a look at those keywords and see if there's other opportunities, because that's how you can really dominate. If you're spending on all 3 placements, you're really dominating the page. You can see this is the keyword water bottle. It's obviously massive. And you can see it's many different brands. You see Tall here got a top of search and also got sponsored brand. You see this brand over here. I don't even know what brand it is. Just Let. I don't know. They only got the sponsored video, and then you can see here there's 3 other brands that are over here. And essentially, I actually got 2 of the top 4 sponsored product placements. So if you have the ability to and you can really dominate, and that's the strategy that you want to go about is really dominating a keyword. Buy yourself into all placements. Buy yourself into sponsored product, sponsored brand, and sponsored video, and you can really dominate a specific keyword. It really is a great way to show authority and to really help gain very, very aggressively in a keyword. We'll talk about a little bit more in the strategy components. One other idea when it comes to a campaign type is called display ads. Now, display ads are a little bit more nuanced. Obviously, it's not the same as a simple product. It takes you to again, similar to sponsored brand, it takes you to a curated shelf or a shop. And you can see here's an example of it at the top here. You have the ability to show a full banner over here. There's many different placements throughout Walmart off display. You'll see some thinner lines, some very small placements. It's a whole different strategy. The benefit to display is it's the most upper funnel, and you can actually curate audiences, and it's display. You know, it's a completely different method. I'm not gonna lie, I personally am not the most advanced with display. We have obviously team members who have a lot more experience than I do. I'm familiar with the basics of it, but it's definitely there's whole strategies purely surrounding display. And this is just in general, I'm referring to display on site, which is there's a self-serve option through Walmart. The good thing is this launched earlier in February. There was a beta program prior to that. So you are still able to get into display and win at relatively low bids. Now the bidding strategy over there is not CPC, it's not cost per click, it's CPM, which is per impressions. So it's a little bit of a different bidding model. You just have to be a little bit aware. You could spend through stacks and stacks of money if you don't know what you're doing. So definitely take advantage of like the resources that exist online to figure out how to do it properly. You don't want to just be blowing a bunch of money over there. And there
And
is also,
on that note, just a question that comes in terms of finding high volume keywords. For Amazon, there's Google, Helium 10. There's a bunch of other tools that are out there. What's the best tool for Walmart? And thanks, David, for sending that in. Again, reminder to everybody, you have questions, drop them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll get them answered. So this is, we're looking for those high volume keywords. Are there tools that can be used to pull
sure,
those out?
sure thing. I mean, this is going to be, well, the sneak peek. It's going to be one of the slides down the line here, but we'll just briefly speak to it. Helium 10 definitely has some insights around that. They do share. They have the Amazon search volume, which I think, even though it's not the same platform, it definitely is super insightful. And they also give you what's called the Walmart Search Trend Score, which is on a scale of 1 to 100. However, this is might come as a shocker to you, but Walmart actually gives you a lot of really good information, and people don't really know this. In Walmart, there is a recent page that they built a few months ago called Search Insights. I actually made a LinkedIn post, so you can check that out. And it'll show you 3 different pages, which I think are all super impactful that nobody uses. The first one is called, it gives you sales rank within your product type, which is massive. Obviously, that's not going to help you with your keywords, but it's just something that's really useful to understand how you're doing as a whole. Secondly, it gives you what's called it gives you on an item level. So you put in an item and it gives you a few key information of keywords for that item. It tells you what the top keywords that they think you should go after. And that's based on, obviously, search volume. It's based on how your item is converting against that product. And you can also filter it or sort it by the top search volume keywords. So they don't tell you how much search volume, but what they have is something called the search trends report. It's something that Walmart generates. And they show you the top 300,000 keywords. This is available with API partners. There's a report that comes out, and they're showing you snippets of this. So if you search for a specific keyword, and you can sort by the search trend, and it'll show you the lower the number, the better. So if you look at water bottle, it'll have like a very high placement. I don't know, maybe probably in the first few thousand, And then you can look at other keywords, they'll slowly go down the list. And you can see very strong keywords. I'd say anything in the top like 50,000 is really not going to be terrible. You have some very popular keywords that are going to be in there, even at like the 15,000 range. So
What was that page again? Shay's
search insights it's on the left menu under
Search Insights.
analytics.
Okay.
I think analytics, then search insights, and there's 3 tabs. The sales. There's the sales rank. There's I don't remember the exact naming of it, but it's the second one, which is about on an item level, and then they have there's a third page where you actually put in the keyword and it shows you related keywords. I think it's called related keyword search. It's similar to, I guess, on Helium 10, they have Magnet and Cerebro. If you're familiar with these magnets, you put in a keyword that shows you related keywords. Cerebros, you put in an item ID that shows you related keywords. So it's similar to that. The cool thing about the one that Walmart has as well is when you put in an item, you could actually look historically, and you can see on a weekly level or a monthly level, I think back until August. And you can just go back and take a look at which keywords bigger when and what. And what that helps you do is, let's say you're planning for this coming year. I mean, obviously it's not quite yet been a year, but you could see seasonality, what keywords peak over time. So it's really interesting to see that stuff, and also shows you how your item specifically is converting against those keywords. It tells you your impression rate, tells you your click rate, and tells you your add to cart rate. Now, what does that let you know? It gives you so much information there. It tells you that if this is a keyword that you're not getting a high impression rate, but you're getting a massive click rate and conversion rate, obviously spend more on that keyword. You're doing well over there. You're just not getting enough impressions. So some really, really impactful information. It also tells you the #1 clicked product for that keyword, which it could be super useful. That definitely gives you that information. I see, an example of that page. I might be able to pull that up over here. Maybe after this, I'll have to log in an account. Shay, I could just post it out over here. I see that question. Okay, I see you got it. I'll just type in here, search insights. under analytics. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, so let's definitely continue this over here. I know there's a lot of these are great questions because I did highlight them later on in this slide. I know these
So
are
you
just
think it's
kind of
worth keep going through and then capture them later? We'll just keep going.
exactly. Exactly. So
Okay.
I just want to make one more touch on the display ads. There is also what's called offsite display ads, which you're going, if you think display is already complex, you're going to definitely have a fun time with offsite. It's all done through the trade desk. The trade desk has an identical platform that they built for Walmart. It's like the Walmart trade desk. I don't know, it's called something like that. And you can run offsite display ads completely different discussion and conversation. Definitely something to look into if you're looking to expand your business. But let's move on. So that's the basics of campaign types. Hopefully we covered that. Obviously, by the way, this is just something to put out there. Walmart Connect has courses that they have that you could take through their academy. Fantastic information. You want to learn Walmart seller guides, super useful. They tell you exactly what's up, explain it all. They have their courses, totally worthwhile. If you're just getting into it and you just want to learn something, utilize our courses. Super useful. But okay, let's just moving on here to two other components that I say are part of the basics: platforms and placements. Okay, so whenever you're creating your ads, you have the ability to choose which placements you want to go into. It does vary by campaign type. So obviously, sponsor brand, sponsor video, there are no placements. It's just sponsor brand, sponsor video. They're at the top and the middle of the page, respectively. But for a sponsored product, you could choose where you want it to display. As we talked about, this is search and grid. There's some other placements as well. There's carousels. If you're looking over Walmart, you'll find ads all over the show. So all those different placements are found within either the auto or the manual campaigns. You'll see them on what's called the two top ones are search and grid, which is this. It's called a grid. That's why search and grid. And then you have on an item page, if you're clicked into a specific product, you'll see either below the buy box, that's called buy box. You have also carousels beneath item. Those are the two main pages, item, and then there's search and grid. Then there's some other miscellaneous ones you'll see on like the homepage of Walmart. You'll see when you're in your cart, there's something called stock up. You'll see a number of random placements. Most of them are from auto campaigns, but very targeted ones you're going to want to focus the search and grid and item. And then one last component here is match types. This is just what I thought was like the most basic things, but there's definitely things that are not covered in here. But match type is when you're bidding on a specific keyword, you have three different match types. You have what's called broad, which means Walmart will try to figure out something similar. So if you put a water bottle, they could come up with something similar to water, and they could come up with something similar to bottle. So it could be like a cup of soda, might win in broad for water bottle. This cup is similar to bottle and water and soda, I don't know, something like that. Then you have phrase, which is a little bit more targeted, which basically lets you, if that keyword exists within the phrase, it will show up. So let's say you put a water bottle and the keyword search was stainless steel water bottle, you'll still display. Then you have exact, which is only on that one keyword. So if you search water bottle, it will only show up if you search exactly that. If you search stainless steel water bottle, it won't show up. Now, there is one slight nuance to that Walmart does what's called, they do keyword normalization. This is a basic of advertising. So if let's say you were to type in water bottles with an S, Walmart will automatically convert that into water bottle or something similar to that. Another example of that is the keyword bike. Bicycles, and bikes. Like all of those four keywords. So bike, bikes, bicycle, and bicycles are all really one keyword. So you don't necessarily need to be going after bike and bicycles. In fact, you can. If you try to add those keywords to the campaign, it will only limit it to just that one keyword that is the normalized version of it. Doesn't really you don't need to go crazy with this. It gets a little fun when you start to think of the pluralization. If there's multiple words within a search term that have plurals, it could sound a little stupid. Honestly, I saw one recently. It was like beds pad instead of bed pads. You'll see some stupid things like that, but it's just all Walmart's algorithm. It's not going to impact anything. Just make sure if you have realistic keywords, just put them in there and run campaigns against those. So generally speaking, a general strategy around match type is phrase is the main one that you want to be spending on. Phrase is we say 80% of your spend should go into phrase, and about 15% into exact, and only 5% in broad. The broad's kind of like running an auto campaign on a keyword, if that makes sense. because you're giving it a keyword, you're like trying to figure out similar keywords. Alrighty, let's continue over here into this next section about basic strategy. So where do you begin? So generally speaking, like we touched on before, you want to stick to sponsored product to start. If you don't really know what you're doing, or if you're just getting started, sponsored product is the most opportunity. It's the most basic one that you're gonna want to stick to. So definitely keep things simple over there. And then with time, you can start to add in these additional placements. Now you obviously have to do your
Is there
keyword.
guidance around like the spend then? Is it 10%, 15%? Like is it more than that right now?
Sure. So
How do people budget for this for next
that's,
year? I know
that's
Walmart wants everybody to spend, 50+%. But
sure. That's
what's
that's
real?
definitely that's definitely very key. My theory, I'm a big fan of if you have to zoom out here a moment and think about Walmart as a whole. There's so much opportunity that it has as a platform, and it's still, even though it's been growing tremendously, maybe it's no longer in its infancy, but maybe it's in its toddler years. It's still very much has so much room to grow into its shoes. So if you want to take a more conservative approach, yes, it may be more cost effective today, and it will get you there potentially in the long run. But if you want to just take a look at Walmart and be like, hey, I have a big keyword, and I really need to go aggressively, and I want to dominate and own this keyword. You have that ability. You have the ability to go today and take any keyword that you want. You could spend like crazy and dominate in that keyword. And even if it's going to cost you over 100%, and you'll have a negative and you'll be losing money just on ads itself, there is a strategy around that to go crazy aggressively. Now, I don't think you have to necessarily do that. Obviously, you have to consider the timeline here and how competitive it's going to get with time. But every bid you spent today, I guarantee you, in 2 months, in 6 months, in a year, is only going to get more and more expensive. So you definitely want to consider that things are cheap now. And if you invest, even though it's maybe not going to be so efficient, it will get much cheaper with time once you get to the top, and you'll get to that point where you're having organic sales and your bids are actually consistently lower. So I'm a big fan of going aggressive off the bat. Keep it at that, even at that 1, 2 ROAS, obviously depending on your cost, and grow from there. It's definitely the strategy around that. I've seen strategy where you have your launch items, a new product, you spend at 100% tacos in the first few weeks just to get things going. You're just spending like crazy, and then you lower it significantly until you get down. So obviously, like an efficient tacos depends on your product. Some people are efficient at 16%. Some people are only efficient at 2%. I mean, it really varies on like the category and how what your profit margins are. So definitely factor that in. But I would say I'm a big fan. Spend a lot to dominate, and obviously don't spend in the wrong areas, and that's kind of what we're trying to cover here. But spend a lot in the beginning to really win, and then you'll get there with time. Okay, so with just basics of where to begin, keep it simple and like don't go too crazy. There's a lot you get into Connect or any ad platform, and you're like, wait, there's a lot happening here. Don't go too crazy. Stick to just what you're dealing with. And you could go crazy with your spend, but just stick to what you know. You have your items, focus on your priority list. Like that's where I would stick to. Once you get familiarity and you're trying to grow, that's when I would start working on expanding your catalog. So a basic strategy is get an auto campaign going for each product. Now, how do you group your campaigns together? So something to consider with Walmart is Walmart has a thing where if you put the similar categories together, they're gonna come. I'm sorry, if you put two items in a similar category in two separate campaigns, they will compete with each other for the same keywords. You can even have your auto and your manual campaigns competing with each other, especially if you have two manual campaigns for the same keyword. You're definitely going to be competing with each other. And what ends up happening is it drives up your CPC because you're bidding against yourself. So it's definitely key that you don't spend that you don't have too much separate campaigns. Only in scenarios where you need to, and we'll discuss when that would be. But generally, group things together where you can. So I would say take a look at your catalog, split it up by category, and then build your campaigns around that. Now, if you do have, let's say, more expensive products and more value products, you may not necessarily want to group them together because for your more premium products, you could have a higher CPC, but on your value products, it's not going to be as cost effective for you. Well, additionally, if you are pushing ad spend on a specific, let's say you have an auto campaign with 10 different products in there, and 2 of them are spending great, but the other 8 are spending really poorly, you might want to break them out just so that you're giving attention to just there. Because Walmart, when they have most campaigns, they'll figure out what's working for them, and they're just going to push on that, especially with auto campaigns. So it's very key to just take a look at your performances and make adjustments as needed, whether it's increasing the bids or even just separating them out into separate campaigns. So that's some basics around campaign creation in the beginning for a sponsored product. There's also obviously a launch plan. Taking a look at, it's very important. It's very important to do the keyword research prior to getting into things. You have to learn using that search insight tool that we discussed, working with a partner, working with Helium 10, just finding out the keywords that are going to be impactful to your listing, and then going after those keywords specifically. We'll just jump over quickly to keyword harvesting here. That's another great strategy. If you have your auto campaigns, let's say you have your phrase or your broad campaigns running, there's a great reporting within Walmart Connect, something called item keyword performance. You could download that report. It's one of the on-demand reports, and that will show you on an item level, on a keyword level, what's been successful. And you could sort that by, let's say, your ROAS, or you could sort by ROAS and filter it to anything above 10 clicks where the ROAS is greater than 3, whatever it is, whatever makes sense to you. And that will give you more keywords that you could just start implementing into your manual campaigns and to more targeted campaigns. There's the basics of campaign optimization. Let's just talk to that briefly. There's very simple ideas over here. Again, it depends on your strategy, depends on the direction that you want to go. But a general optimization strategy is, let's say you have items within a campaign or keywords within a campaign. You take a look at what ROAS is doing well. If the ROAS is above, let's say, a certain threshold, let's say a threshold is 3. If it's above that, increase your CPC. If it's below that, reduce your CPC. Now, obviously, it's a very simple strategy, and I don't love it in the long term of things because you're just thinking purely in terms of ROAS, which is only one metric in a bucket. But if you're just focusing on efficiency and that's what you want to go after, it's a very simple strategy to succeed. And then one more component here is bid multipliers, which is actually quite good. It goes back to the platform and placements. You could set up within a campaign a multiplier for a specific either platform. So there's 3 platforms: it's desktop, mobile, and then app. And then there's also different placements, like we mentioned, which you have search and grid, you have item, you have carousel, you have all these different placements as well. You could view in Walmart Connect or in different app tools what your current performance is against different platforms or different placements. You could view this all in different reporting. So let's say you could see the total on either a campaign level or your entire account level. You see that your desktop, for whatever reason, is spending the most and it has the best ROAS, and your mobile is not spending as much and the ROAS is worse, and app is in the middle. What you could do is you could create a multiplier on desktop by X percentage. You can figure out what that is. You can start with 20, then 30, and so on, and build up. And you could actually spend more just on that platform. So what that helps you do is you can maintain the same. You don't have to create separate campaigns, but you're targeting a specific platform or placement with a greater multiple. Now, generally speaking, it's not recommended to have very low base bids and very high multipliers. It's not a good strategy. Walmart doesn't really work with algorithms so well. Just something to consider. So try to have your base bid as realistic as possible across the board, and then use multipliers to tweak it slightly above that, rather than having a very low base bid and then massive multipliers on that. All right. We're moving through this quickly, so I want to definitely touch on some of the more advanced strategies, and we could open up the questions. But choosing the right keywords. And this is again a little plug over here about working with us. We have data from Walmart and search trends. We also have a lot of strategies around relevancy. That's the search trends report. There's the new insights are now available in Walmart 3P. That's what we were talking about before, the search insights, and then understanding search volume plus relevancy. This is one that I could talk about forever. So very key. When you have a keyword, it's obviously you want to see if it's a big keyword or a small keyword, but something that's very important to note is how relevant is this keyword towards your item. I use a classic example all the time. I say yoga mats. The keyword yoga mat, if you have a yoga mat, right? The keyword mat may have more search volume than the keyword yoga mat. But if you think that mat's a good keyword to go after, it's not smart. Mat, when I think mat, I'm thinking doormat or, some other miscellaneous mats. So your conversion rate's going to be really low. Your click-through rate's going to be really low, and your CPCs are going to have to be much higher because it's much more of a broad keyword. So very important to consider the relevancy. How relevant is your product to the keyword? Now, if you're selling a purple yoga mat, the keyword purple yoga mat will have even less search volume and even more relevancy. That's already too relevant. You're going a little bit past the barometer here. So finding a good balance of high search volume and high relevancy is going to be key. Now, how do you determine relevancy? You can look at historical performance. It's not really a great solution for this. You can look at your click-through rate, you can look at your conversion rate on an item keyword level, but it really just comes down to your thought. You know, you have to really take a look at it. What I would suggest doing is searching a keyword. Let's say you're looking at the keyword yoga mat. Search up the keyword and see, is my product similar to these products over here? If it is, great, run for it. Or if it's not, find a new keyword. So that's it takes time. That only takes time. Keyword research is not a super basic process. But I'm just gonna give one idea here that should really be impactful here. On Walmart, you're typically not gonna have more than 3 to 5 keywords that are actually impactful to your listing. If you go into the weeds, you can find 20 keywords with very low search volumes. Focus on your top, even honestly, one keyword. If you focus on just the top keyword per product, you will see success. Don't go too crazy with finding all these other keywords. You know, definitely utilize auto campaigns. These long tail keywords will definitely help you bring success to your listing. But generally speaking, most of your search volume is probably going to come from a handful of keywords, 1 to 5 max. Very rarely. I mean, you have to also consider, like, let's say you're selling, let's go back to the yoga mat example. You would technically fall under the major keyword of exercise equipment. You would be under there, but it's, again, super broad. And you definitely would like to rank for that. If you're number one for exercise equipment, it's definitely useful. And you definitely will get more conversions than even, I would say, the keyword mat. But it's too broad. It's too broad, and don't focus there. Really think of that as a maybe a next upper funnel strategy, even in a sense, to go after those very large keywords. But really stick to relevancy and search volume. All right, let's go to on the wrong direction there. Advanced advertising strategies, and this is going to be it. We have branch offs. We can touch on that briefly, but advanced advertising strategies is really the juice here. Okay, so let's understand a little bit. I would hope there's some good.
Really quick, a question around, I'm going to break it down just a little bit. On Amazon, content is so important. Like, where does I guess we'll probably another whole webinar. How much does that play into like search ranking as a whole? And then usually that then plays into and this is going back to a question that came in earlier, that goes back into then how do you even fit into the ad algorithm as a whole to make sure you have a more propensity to get the bid than somebody else.
I love that. It's exactly where I was about to head.
Oh, awesome. Let's go.
Yeah. So let's think about the idea of, we take a look at sponsored search. That's a simple one, right? What determines who wins the first, second, or third, and fourth placement, or 1 through 10? What determines that? Now, the basic idea would think whoever bids more. You know, if I bid $1 and actually bids 50 cents, 30 cents, and so on, that's what would be the main factor. But that's not true. Very often you'll see that you're winning a bid at a cheaper rate than someone else. How do you know? Well, luckily for me, I have hundreds of clients, so I can see exact performance across 2 different brands. This guy's spending less on the same keyword, but he's winning at the bid at higher placement. What the heck, Walmart? So the reason for that is because Walmart takes the bid and it multiplies it by something called a relevancy score. Now, this relevancy score does not exist, at least to the naked eye. This is not a product. This is not something you'll find anywhere in Walmart. It's something purely on their backend algorithm. And what it is, it's a culmination of your listings relevancy to that keyword. We spoke about relevancy as something different. What does that mean? It means if you take a look, when you're putting your product and you're advertising against the keyword, Walmart takes that product and it takes that keyword and says, how similar is this product that you're trying to serve to this keyword? Now, how does it do that? It ranks it comparatively to the top products under that keyword. So the first organically ranked product is going to hold the most rank, then the second, third, fourth, and so on. So if the number one organic product is very similar to your product, you're going to have a good time succeeding. So what does very similar mean? So it's a number of factors. Firstly is the categorization of the product type. That is generally the top component. You have to consider that. If you are not the same product type as the top 4 products, you're going to have a very difficult time ranking in that space. Then you have also the category path. It also helps. And generally things around that. You want to make sure your attributes are filled in. You want to make sure that your pricing is similar. You want to make sure that generally you are similar to that product. Now, let's think of this for a second. What if you are the number 1 organic product? So, and you're still serving ads on that keyword? Walmart's essentially asking, how relevant are you to yourself. And as I always say, you can't get any more relevant than yourself. You are the most relevant to yourself that you can be. So if you're the number one organic product, you will have the best, the cheapest bids to be able to win the top spots. You could pay significantly less. You might be spending 30 cents where the guy next to you is spending $2. Crazy. And you're still winning the number one spot because you're so much more relevant. What does this mean for you? This means some very, very interesting things. This means it's still an important factor here. Walmart has something called second price auction, like we discussed. What does that mean? Just the basics of it. If you're spending $100 as your bid, and the guy next person after you spending only $1, Walmart's going to bid you at $1.01. They're not going to charge you $100 per bid. It's called second price. You know, they take the second lowest price and they bid you a cent above that. But let's say over here, your product, you're bidding $1. The guy after you is bidding, let's say 90 cents, but your product is more relevant. Walmart's still going to charge you 91 cents, but you might actually be able to win that bid at 50 cents. Second price auction doesn't necessarily always work for you. You sometimes even have to lower your base bid, and you might still be winning the same placement at a cheaper price. I've seen scenarios where you have brands that will be winning at the top placements at a cheap bid, and then they'll increase their bids for whatever they'll try to match the Walmart suggested bids, which we didn't talk about, but definitely a category something to discuss. But they'll match the suggested bids. They'll get the same placements. They're just paying a lot more for it. So very important that you consider this, like how relevant and how you are using item keyword tracking. Item keyword rank tracking, super, super important to understand how are you ranking. And the way I like to envision it is if you have the data, now how do you do rank tracking? There's a number of tools for it. Obviously, I'm going to plug ourselves here again. We do have this data. How do you look at this? If you could take a look on an item keyword level, if you understand the high search volume keywords, if you understand the high relevancy keywords, you can see how much am I spending per keyword, what's my CPC per keyword, and what's my organic rank. And you can look at all these factors. You can look at my spend, your ROAS, you can look at anything you want to see on an item keyword level. And you could just look at the top keywords that you're going after, and you can see, okay, this keyword I'm spending a lot on, and I'm very high ranked. Start to lower spend. This keyword I'm ranked on page 3. I have a 5 ROAS. I have a 50 ROAS. Doesn't matter. If you're ranked on page 3, spend away. Get back to page 1. What are you doing on page 3? I don't care if you have the best ROAS in the world. Spend until you get to the top. So it's very key. And people look, if you're just looking, this is why I mentioned before, I don't like the pure ROAS strategy. Because if you're just looking at ROAS, you're missing out. You might have a product that you're ranked number 1 for, and you have a very low ROAS for because you're overspending. So that case, it makes sense. Definitely reduce your CPC. But if you have a product that has a very high ROAS, but you're ranked very poorly, it's still worth it you might even have an item that's ranked poorly with a low ROAS. That's not going to be uncommon. Still, continue to spend until you're ranked well. At that point, you can start factoring in ROAS. I think ROAS is secondary to rank. Rank is what's key, in my opinion. Now, some people understand profitability is important. I believe go super aggressively against rank. That's, at least as of today, there's so much opportunity on Walmart. Go after that. Okay, just quickly, these other two notes here, and we could jump to some questions here. SOV tracking is similar to rank. If you have a lot of products in the same category, you want to really dominate. SOV could also include, are you running sponsored placements in every situation? Are you using sponsored video, sponsored brand, sponsored product? How many of those placements? So if you're considering it on a standard search page, you have 10 ad spots and sponsored product. You have 1 sponsored brand and 1 sponsored video. So if you have like the majority of those, obviously you're probably not going to be winning all 10 sponsored product. But if you're dominating top of search, you have sponsored brand, you have sponsored video, you have a very strong SOV, especially if there's multiple products involved. And then if you also have an organic SOV, which is just to consider how many SOV share of voice, if I didn't say that, it's if you take a look at the keyword, how well are you placed organically as well. This is all super important. And what's really good also when you have multiple items in the same category, you have data. You have so much data when you think of it. You have 2 similar products. You now can tell from one to the other, hey, this is what my sponsored placement, this is what my CPC could be. And back to this whole thing of like looking at competitors to understand how much they're spending, go into your own catalog. You could see 2 of your products against the same keyword, one spending way more than the other, and you can see where their placements are. It could also be a relevancy thing. So very important to really look within your own catalog. If you have similar products, you're able to find a lot of great information within that. And then the third strategy here is a little bit different, is when you're running a promo, you want to make sure you're hitting ads like crazy. Now, you might think you're already losing money on your promo. Why should you spend on ads? I'll tell you. Because the number 1 driver of rank on Walmart is conversion rate. This is just what the numbers are. And you have your best conversion rates when you're running a promo. So if you're able to drive a lot of traffic to your promo, you're able to actually really grow your rank really quickly. So all this is really around rank. That's my big thing that I believe in. And these are just some basic ideas about that. I'll turn it to Aaron if you have some questions from folks. I don't see things coming in over here. I could jump to brand shops if we have some more time, but if
I
people
mean,
have
we
questions.
do just have a few. I don't have other questions coming in, but if you want to jump to brand shops, like, yeah, let's jump there really quick. I mean, we've got just 3 minutes left, and want to spend 2 minutes on that and a minute on key takeaways. And as you jump there, everybody, thanks for sending in all the questions today. Look for a follow-up email from us. More than happy to connect you with David and the team over at Sellcord. They're all around, Walmart experts, gurus, whatever you want to say. They're just awesome. Great friends too, and supporters of a lot of brands in the network. Look for a follow-up email from me. I'd love to have a conversation with you as well. What are your biggest pain points? What are you trying to solve for as we set up 2025 events we're doing, but also topics you'd like to cover, you'd like us to cover as we head into the new year. But yeah, David, brand shop, why don't we hit this for a couple minutes and then wrap it up?
That's great. There's also we did a webinar before about content, a little bit more in depth, which also covers some overlap, but definitely I would suggest
No,
checking
it's a
out
great
that.
thing. We'll drop a link to that episode as well in the follow-up. So just to the YouTube channel with that episode. And we'll connect everybody on the content side. I think that's a great idea. Awesome.
Yeah, sweet. So why are we talking about brand shops? It's just because brand shops are done through Walmart Connect. It's just a great way to display your brand in an even better way. Previously, if you were to click on a brand, and still many brands that haven't set this up, it'll just take you to a filtered page in search. And the problem with that is if you have other brands that might be similar or the same name or whatever it is, it could just get in there and you don't want that. What you could do is build a specific page around it. Here you can see it was too big to put onto one screenshot. So you can see like there's like the top page of it, and then you see like you could have a video placement, you could have all these different like categorizations built out. You also build shelves. So you can see each of these is like a shelf. You can click on this, it'll take you to specific grouping of listings within that. It just is a super nice way to display your shop and your listings and all these different things. Interestingly, Walmart actually just released that you can combine different brands. So let's say you own many brands, you could have them all in one shop interchangeably. You also have different styles of brand shops. You have like a new thing called a skinny header. They're making a lot of changes to it. It's all very new. What's the point is you could use this within your sponsored brand strategy as well as your display strategy. Rather than taking you to just these curated, just a filtered search, you could take the specific shelf. Let's say water bottle, and you sell, let's say, a lot of different products. You happen to sell water bottles within sponsored brand. If someone clicks your brand, you're gonna lose them because you're gonna see your brand. You're selling a bunch of random products. But if you send them to your created shelf of just water bottles within your brand, you could even have a bit of a stronger way to go about it. So that's kind of very high level. One nice thing about sponsored brand is they do give you metrics. They tell you daily what your performance is like, how many sales, how many impressions, visitors, all that stuff. So it's super useful.
That literally answers, I think, a question Melissa sends in. Have there been any early metrics on the brand shop and or shelves?
Yeah, so that would be that. It doesn't have, I don't think on the shelf level yet, but brand shop does give you those metrics, which is just super nice. You could see if you're running sponsored brand against it, you could see those numbers immediately pick up. And interestingly, if you're not running anything, you will see the numbers there, and it's just nice to see what that's doing. It's free. It's so free. So I mean, just definitely do it. It's definitely, you should have this for your brand. If your brand's you have to have your brand registered. Definitely recommend it to do this. It's I mean, how much better can it get than free?
Yeah, right. Awesome. Well, David, thanks so much for your time today. Thanks for being such great friends, partners, supporters, and network. Again, I encourage, anybody has questions on, the paid media side, the content side, anything to do with Walmart, advertising, Connect, the marketplace, the team over at Sellcord are the best around. So worth a follow-up conversation. Look for a follow-up email from me as well. But with that, I think we're going to wrap up this webinar here. Thanks again, David. And hope everybody has a fantastic holiday season. We'll connect in the new year. Awesome. Thanks again, my friends. We'll see you.
That's good.